Hey guys, happy Monday. Every Monday we do this at 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time. So I know y'all are kind of all over the place, but it just makes it easy if we kind of grab a lunch and meet together. We are doing this Monday Masterclass. And one of the reasons that we are calling it Masterclass is because we are going to bring in a guest for the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of the call and let them kind of pour into you something, maybe a different same message, different voice, maybe a new message you haven't heard before. Today we get to share one of our very dearest friends with you. I don't even know where to start with Rebekah on the wisdom that she gives. She's going to be like, but the wisdom that she brings to, I will just say for Becky and I specifically, in friendship, in wisdom of scripture, and wisdom of social media. Like you can kind of go all the different areas, right? We can go really superficial with super social media and talk about all of the things that help our businesses, but then she can go deep dive into hearts and Enneagram and, the word. And I just love all of those things. So she is a lover of knowledge. If I could say anything about her, she loves to read. And if you ever get the chance to look at a Rebekah Fowlkes book after she has read it, you'll be like next level. Like, yeah, that's like all the notes, flipping back and forth, the highlighting, just an absorber of knowledge. And I love that because she can kind of pull things in and then process them and then spit them back out. So I could probably talk for the first 20 minutes about how much I love Rebekah, but instead I'm just gonna let y'all fall in love with her. Rebekah, give us some wisdom on coming out of September, going into October, but also just our business in general.
Well, that is so nice. I even texted Andrea yesterday and I said, I just want you to know that I feel so honored that you would want me to come on y'all's team call. But I feel so honored because y'all have so many quality leaders and just people that I've met in y'all's organization. And I think I've become like Instagram friends with some of y'all just because y'all, Becky and Andrea, we all like tag each other and stuff. And so we kind of become friends, and I've loved all of those relationships. And so I see that in y'all. And so I really feel honored to come on here and just be able to hang out with y'all and pour into y'all some things that have just made a difference in my business and what continues to push me forward. And I was talking to someone this morning and I was telling them, corporate, I've done a lot of things just over the years, just, being here for a long time. And one thing that I always say is if corporate tries to give me a script for a training or something, I'm like, oh, then I'm not your girl. Because if it's not something that actually I'm doing and that I am seeing results in it, I will not tell you to do something just because it sounds good or it sounds like the thing. So, anyway, I just speak from things that I see that have worked for me.
Did. And they all make sense, but.
Let's see. That have gleaned from other leaders and then applied, or that I can look at and say, oh, that's why that's working. That it's maybe even like a subconscious consciousness, something that we've been doing, and then they're shedding light on why that has been effective. Have you ever felt like something's working and someone asks you, what are you doing that's working? And you're like, I'm not even sure really how I got here. And so I so appreciate when someone sheds light on that's why that's effective. And so anyway, I just want to give y'all, again, some of the things. My story would be much like many of y'all's. I saw this opportunity as something that could make a difference for more in my family, in my life. And so I want that. And something that might be a little bit different was I saw the lens of network marketing as something really good. Like you'll never hear me say, oh, I never wanted to be one of those girls, or I never thought I would do that or whatever. I actually saw network marketing. There were several women in my town I was in my late 20s when I started this. And when I found network marketing, I had met several women that I just really respected in my community that had great marriages and families and were married to really successful men, and they would have careers themselves as physical therapists or as physician's assistants or nurse, different jobs that were making, they were successful, but then they were also doing network marketing and they were driving the car and having the parties. And I would go and I would buy products from people that I really liked, and I liked the women that I was around. And so I actually saw network marketing as something like aspirational, like as something that I wanted to be a part of. And I could cry about how my vision for what I want to change and be just one of the catalysts in that. I want that to be how people think of network marketing as a whole. And one thing that I see is women on this call, that your kids are watching you and your friends' kids are coming to your house while you're doing training calls and you're coaching people. It like makes me cry when I have my 15-year-old and her, volleyball girls, they're all running upstairs and they're like watching me because my staircase is right there. And later they're like, what were you doing? And then I'll tell them, and then they're watching on Instagram and they'll go, yeah, I want to do what you're doing like one day. And that you really are being a catalyst for change and an opportunity that changes families, changes lives, and see it as that, because it really can be, you get to be a part of that. And that is really special, to be someone that's really changing the trajectory of so many people's lives. So when I look at where I am in my business and where I am just in where I want to go, I definitely don't feel like, I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I see so many more things that I want to do. And that's one reason I love partnering with Becky and Andrea often, is because they feel the same. And I want you to know that I have such mad respect for that, because as someone that's been here for 9 years, I see a lot of leaders that they get to a certain place and they go, yeah, I'm good here. I'm good. And that's not who your leaders are. That's not, they are actually thinking all the time, what would move my people forward? What would make a difference in their businesses? How can I help them? And I don't think that's always the case. And so for that, I just want to say that's why I have continued to be such good. I mean, I've continued to be friends because hello, they're Andrea and Becky, but also because we're such great. I love masterminding with them. But in my own business, a few of the characteristics that I see that has created success for me would be a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence in a lot of different areas. I have a lot of belief. I'm going to go into why these matter, but confidence, belief, enthusiasm. I think enthusiasm is very underrated, but enthusiasm, connection would be number 4, and visibility. So confidence, belief, enthusiasm, connection, and visibility. And one thing that you might notice is not on there is strategy. And I want you to know that recently I was talking to some girls and we were looking at, I don't know if y'all kind of paid much attention to like the Star Diamond program, and it hasn't really gotten a lot of attention, but I want to tell you why that program is important. And it's because as leaders, which if you're on here and you're a silver ambassador, you're a leader because you're steps ahead of people in this business. And what that's doing is that the Star Diamonds are people that are reaching behind them and they are developing leaders of 6-figure organizations. And it makes me think of like the 5 levels of leadership and the giant leaders, like they are leaders that develop other leaders. And so when I look at people that are way further ahead of me in this business, like a 5-star diamond, someone that has at least 5 different 6-figure organizations in different legs direct to them, right? So it's not just 5 jewels, it's 5 different legs. Like that's something when I was in another network marketing company years ago that they said was width is wealth and depth is security. And so I've always thought about that, people, you can, I'm a diamond. I just enrolled my husband last month. We fast started him, but I'm, a diamond with a lot of points, but I have been building wider for a long time. And I think there's something to that. And what the Star Diamonds are doing is they've helped their leaders that are developing leaders. It's not just points and these arbitrary numbers, but it's showing you they're making an impact on lots of lives. And so when I was talking to these girls, what do you think are the kind of the characteristics that you see in these star diamonds. And strategy came up a couple times. And what we were talking about, and what I just feel strongly about, is it's not strategy. Strategy, if you're talking about like the difference in leaders and managers, or, people that are kind of, it feels like a managerial role. And so strategy is always there, and there's always 100 different strategies. And if I'm really thinking about strategy, that's something that changes month to month or quarter to quarter based on what product promotions we have, or what incentives are going on, and how are you leveraging those to see growth in your business. But it's more of a short-term thing, because again, the strategy is going to change all the time. And the people that I see that kind of get the short-term growth in little spurts, but they're not able to push through, are constantly changing that. That's where their focus is. It's just looking left to right on, oh, this is what so-and-so's doing, and this is what so-and-so's doing. And it's distracting, honestly, because you're just constantly trying to do the next thing, when really it boils down to a couple things. And I want to just kind of jump on, and I'll just say one thing that we do in diamond meetings, whether it's at convention or at the diamond trip, is we'll have these diamond meetings, and we're always at different tables. And typically they'll ask us a few questions, and then each table will kind of come up with their own answers, and we write them all on these, like big white paper. And then someone from each table will go up and talk about why it matters. And at this diamond meeting, this last time, the questions were, 3 things that are working really well and 3 things that are not working anymore. And so it was just a really great discussion around those things. And what could happen is you could get in that conversation and you could feel, oh my gosh, I'm not doing, like, look at all these ideas. And what I found myself, I listened and really I took away 2 things from that. I just told myself, no, I'm not getting overwhelmed with all these things that we all could be doing, because again, that's distracting. And there are things that you are doing well, and stay in that. But a common theme that was almost at every table was in-person events. And so I came home, started scheduling in-person events, which feels out of my comfort zone. I do love the social media, and I also see a lot of success by posting on social media, but I see the long-term value of being able to create connection and community, and offering that to people. And because it goes back to what I said, how I felt about network marketing was because I was around people that were doing it so well and so differently, that my perspective on network marketing was only good when I came into it. And so that's what I want to show people, because when I go to events in Plexus, I remember the first time I met Andrea Mitchell at a shopping spree our first year, and I was like, well, she's doing this. I mean, like, people that and I still feel like I go to events and I start talking to people, and I'm like, these are doctors and lawyers and people with multiple degrees that are, or just people that are awesome, that have 0 degrees. I have 0 degrees right here. So people that have 0 of those, but are just people you want to be around. And that's how I feel about Plexus. Like 100%, when I get around our people and our leaders, I'm constantly like, yeah, I want to be right here, and I don't want to be anywhere else. So, but what I found when we were looking at the 5-star diamonds were 2 qualities that I see across the board. And that is people that are vision casters and that have massive belief. And they're able to project both of those. If you are like, what is vision? What does that mean? I just read a fantastic book, actually, when we were in Hawaii, and it's called The Vision Driven Leader. It's by Michael Hyatt. It's excellent. It's about and there's even resources that go with the book. Who doesn't like that? Where he can help you craft a vision script, and lots of writing prompts. You can even put them on your Remarkable if you're into that, like all kinds of things. And I really appreciated that about him. But vision is long. Vision is your 3 to 5 years. It's not what I want to do next week. It's not, or next month. It's not, oh, I want to earn the Nikes this month. Your vision is long. Like, you might have a mission statement, and that might be an elevator, kind of pitch on why do you do this and what do you want to do? But your vision is long. And so even just over the next, I'll just tell you some points on my vision for the next 3 years. And this is still a work in progress. I've been just kind of writing down what this means for me. But from 2025 to 2027, what do I want to see in my business? And so for me, that looks like having 25 team members on the Emerald trip, 5 that are with me on the Diamond trip, that I have 5 level 1 or level 2 jewel legs. And I have those all listed out. I want each of my jewel legs to have 3 jewel legs, to know that they have stability. They are reaching back and bringing people with them. I want people to be able to say about our team that our team training attracts and duplicates quality leaders. I want people to be able to say that we easily and consistently onboard new brand ambassadors. I want people to constantly be saying quality women, quality people are attracted to our organization and say, hey, I want to do what you're doing. I want to average 20,000 points. I want to be making at least $80,000 a month. I want that to be able to create a new income stream for we've been in rental properties, and I would love my husband to be able to do that full time, because freedom is a big value for me, and he sees a lot of success in his job, but the time freedom isn't there. And so I have several other things that we're kind of working on behind the scenes, but those are things that are propelling me forward. Now, what I know about that, and someone that's business looks about a third of that right now, is that that's a lot of work. And so what I have to do is, when I take something like a vision, then I have to pull that down and go, what does that look like for my family? And so then I itemize out, okay, this is everything that needs to be done in my bit. This is what needs to get done. And I've had that organized in, these are things that get done at the beginning of the month. These are things that get done at the end of the month. Okay, these are things that are weekly, so I can do that once a week. Some of them are getting done every single day. So they're on my Monday list, my Tuesday list, my Wednesday list, my Thursday list, my Friday list. If you're someone that's going, there's kind of 2 different kinds of overwhelm, right? I'm overwhelmed because I have too much to do, and there's overwhelmed because I don't know what to do next. And so creating a vision, then saying, this is the steps to get there, and the strategy will change, right? But your destination is going to be the same. And then you're pulling out, this is what needs to be done. That to me is giving you freedom on how to work your business. It's giving you freedom to have family hours and not feel burned out, because you know what you're doing, why it's effective. You've got it listed out. This is where I'm going, right? But what does that look like for you to do that? And so I think one thing from that book was The Vision Driven Leader, but a book I read few years ago called, actually, I think I read it twice. Free to Focus is another Michael Hyatt book. And it's really on productivity. I hate to say time management, but it is on productivity. And a big theme of that was, where's my time? Okay. I'm going to go into overdrive. But a big theme that he talks about in there that gave me a lot, it was interesting. Actually, I'll just say this. I was talking on time management at Jewel Training. Becky, I think you were there. And Wendy Larson was there, and she's an Enneagram 3, like high achiever, loves to work, lives to work. And I'm an Enneagram 7. I do not live to work. I live for the freedom. The freedom is what motivates me. And so what was so interesting is when we listed out the amount of hours that we were working our business, we were both working it about the same, about 3 to 4 hours a day. But I was seeing the way that I was working as all the freedom it provided. And she was seeing her business as she was such a hard worker, and look at how efficient she was at her working. And she's a homesteader and homeschooler and was doing all these other things on top of it. But it was the mindset, because a big theme in the book is all productivity should not lead to more productivity. All productivity should lead to freedom. And I think that's so important, because what I don't want you to do is to get really efficient at what you're doing and think, oh, now I need to do more, because that's actually not productive. And there was all these studies in there about why it's not productive, and basically the law of diminishing returns. But it was all about just being all in at what you're doing. And so another thing, or just another part of that book, was where he talked about the desire zone, and he kind of foiled it with the disaster zone or something. But basically the desire zone and where you want to be is finding, let's say you list out all those things that you feel like needs to be done in your business, not in a diamond business, but like in your business to get to the next part. And you're listing out, where are you proficient? What are you good at? And then what do you love to do? And most of the time people love to do what they're good at. So those are probably going to overlap a lot, but what needs to be done that you're good at and that you love to do. And that's going to be your desire zone. It's your strength zone. There'll be things on there that you necessarily don't want to do, but you know, it probably needs to get done. There may be things on there that you're like, no, I'm not going to spend time feeling guilty over not doing it, and I'm going to delete it, or I'm going to delegate it, or I'm going to, you know, figure out a way to automate it, or whatever that looks like for you. But staying in that zone. So, and I would also have a conversation, because when I'm talking about this desire zone, what I'm really kind of alluding to is confidence, because when you're working in that desire zone, and you're working at the things that you're good at and that you are, that you love to do, that produces a confidence in you, and people feel that. That is what, to me, goes into the enthusiasm. When you're talking about Plexus, when you're showing up on your social media, when you're talking to it, even around your husband or your kids, you're confident in what you're doing because you know you're good at it and you're seeing it move forward. The biggest human motivator is progress. What can you do that's going to create progress in your business so that you're seeing the needle move forward? That's going to create definitely confidence and belief. You want to make sure, where are you missing? Where are there holes in your belief? You need to have belief in yourself, in your belief, in your abilities, that desire zone. You need to have belief in our opportunity and what it provides. You need to have belief in Plexus as a whole, in our leaders, and our company, and in the industry. Like, this industry is just getting bigger and better, and people can cover that up and call it affiliate marketing. They can call it, you know, their social sell, whatever you want to call it. It's becoming more and more widespread, and you should be so confident that you have made a really great decision to be a part of this industry and all the opportunity that it allows and provides for you and for your family and for your network. This is also going to create enthusiasm. When you have belief and you have confidence in these two things. I remember someone told me one time, and I was like, well, that's the truest thing I've ever heard. It was like, nothing makes people laugh like other people laughing, and nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. And so when you've got people around you and you're part of something and people are going to see that, it's social proofing, essentially. Make sure that you're showing all these good things that you think people already know, or you think maybe they don't care about, but it mattered to you. Remember those things and continue to share about them. You know, we know there's so much noise out there, but be thinking about what drew me in. What did I go, oh, wow, that was cool. Oh, I loved that. Or whatever it was when you came on. Make sure you're continuing to share, because that matters. And it's all those little drips that end up saying, okay, I want to look at that. So that is part of the enthusiasm. And then connection. When you bring someone in here, I want you to like just drop off the idea that if they really want it, they'll figure it out. No, they won't. No, they won't. They have to have you there with them, holding their hand, telling them that's the vision casting. That's where you're saying, do you know all the qualities that I am seeing in you and why you are going to be so good at this? Do you know how when you did that, that was actually super smart? And I want to tell you why. Do you know what this can provide for you? Do you know all the potential that I see in you? You are not flattering, period, pause, not flattering, not lying. I am talking about, and that also goes into who you're bringing in. I'm only like all in with people that I honestly am looking at and going, no, girl, we going places. Like, we're going to Hawaii together. You're going to be a 6-figure earner. Like, you're looking at people and you're seeing something, but you're not doing that to you're not going A through Z through your list, like through your friends list, right? Like, we're not doing that. You're actually going after people that you're saying, I want to tell you what I am seeing in you and what I want, what I know you can do. And I want you to hear me say, I was having opportunity meetings in my living room in Pennsylvania. No one was there. I was from Arkansas. I moved to a new town. I did not know people. I was having events in my living room and saying, hi, I'm Rebekah. I'm silver. I'm going to show us how to get to diamond. Like that was the, like, literally, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, but I was doing all of that. And you can do that too. You are a keeper of so many stories. Like you have so much more belief and like a reservoir of belief and vision. Like you should be sharing that. And when you see someone do something, you're able to say, okay, I saw a diamond documentary and you remind me of this girl and your story reminds me of this. And I want to show you that I watched diamond documentaries every night in the bathtub. I remember doing that for a year, like watching them all. And we almost don't talk about them anymore, but those are stories of hope and vision and success and belief. And I just share those and be so connected with your people. I mean, sometimes it's overwhelming at different seasons of my business when we're in, different overwhelms of momentum to bring in a new level one, because it's basically like a nursing infant. I've got a couple new silvers and they are messaging me around the clock and they're younger. And so they stay up past 8:30. I mean, who does that? And they're asking me questions and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a nursing infant, like that. You're their only sustenance, right? Like you're the one giving them all the hope, all the belief, all the resources, all the strategy, all the things, and recognize that and relish it that they're wanting it or that you can offer it to them. Hey, I loved Jason Dorsey in Hawaii was saying, if they don't have questions, maybe give them a few questions that they could have and say, a lot of times people ask me this and this and this, or, a couple options. Do you need to know anything about that? And if they ask that one question, a lot of times then they'll ask another one. And another thing he said that I thought was great was go ahead and have 10 things ready when they run into an objection that you're like, okay, have you tried this? Okay, let's try this. Like go ahead and have those ready for your people. And then the last one I would just say is visibility. And that is, that's definitely something that John Maxwell talks about a lot, is a leader is visible. So whether that's in your chats, whether that's you're texting your people, you're commenting on the team page, you're showing up for the meetings like this, and you're screenshotting it and you're putting it on your Instagram story, or you're screenshotting it and you're putting it in your chat. And today was so great. Here's a couple notes from today. But if you want your people to show up, you definitely need to be showing up and saying, hey, I was there too. Like that you're earning the Nikes and that you're doing that you're there, you're in it with the people. And I'm telling you this, the more engaged you are in your personal business, I guarantee you the more feedback and wisdom you're going to be able to pour out to your new people. Cause you're like, oh, I just had that issue. Oh, I just actually talked to someone about that. Oh, I actually just found a testimony on that too. There's nothing that's going to build more belief in you and have you in it with your people, like you being boots to the ground yourself. So, the last thing I'm just going to tell y'all, and I told this story at convention a few years ago. I think it's like an old fable. I don't know, fable, whatever, a little story, but it reminded me of it today when I was thinking about vision. And it was kind of the story of the bricklayers and this guy that walked up and there were all these people laying bricks. And he went to the first guy and he said, hey, what are you doing? And the guy said, I'm laying bricks. And then he said, okay. So he went to the next one and said, well, what are you doing? And he said, I'm putting up a wall. And he said, okay. And then he went to the next one. He said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm building a cathedral. And so what I want you to do when maybe you've made your list and you're looking at all the things that you're doing in your business, are you showing up and you're just laying bricks and you're just checking off your winning the day sheet or your daily IPA sheet? Or are you putting up a wall and you're working to earn some Nikes or make a few $100s a month? Like that's perfect. That's great. Or are you building a cathedral? Are you building a legacy? Do you have a vision for what this can be for your family? Because it can be that for your family. I can't tell you, the conversations, the people I've met, and the things that this business has done for their families and for their communities. I mean, all the different things, and you can be a part of that. And I think that's such a gift to be able to give your teams, to be able to give your sidelines. Where are you adding value to contribute there? It's just, vision and belief are the two biggest things that you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the strongest, you don't have to be the fastest, but can you harness the belief? Because that belief, if you've got a consistency issue, it's because of belief. Because if you really believed that all the things in your vision could happen, you would be showing up in a very different way. And so I'm going to ask you to look through your vision, your belief, your confidence, your enthusiasm, and see where are there some holes and what can you do to fill those in. I know I went 10 minutes over, Andrea.
No, thank you so much. I have a page and a half of notes, and I'm really excited about it. Don't y'all love the way Rebekah teaches? Is always like, it's my neurons firing. I want to give a few minutes if you've got them for questions. Reba, you could, okay. Guys, if you have a question, I just want you to unmute and ask it.
Okay, question before anyone else talks. When you have, belief and vision, when you find the holes, what have you done to build those holes up? That makes sense.
Yes. So I would say the number one thing that makes a difference for me in my work ethic, in my belief, is that anything like that is who I am surrounding myself with. And so I would find people that are further ahead of you, or at least where you want to go, or where you want to go, or further ahead of you. And how can you get yourself around those people in those circles? And I would say you guard your influence with everything you've got. And anytime someone tells me, like, Andrea and Becky, how many chats have I left over the years? We're like, Rebekah's left the chat. Rebekah's left the chat. Rebekah's left the chat. And they will tell you, oh, I'm just being real. And that we just need a place for transparency. No, you don't. You can take those issues to your upline. But if you are around people that are constantly telling you, oh, and they maybe say it in a happy sing-songy voice, but if they are constantly bringing out the negative, we are impressionable. We absolutely are. And so with influence, someone's influencing someone in every situation. I tell my kids that all the time. Someone's always influencing someone. And so I would say, just put your tray down at the table in the cafeteria and say, hey, can I sit with y'all? Like, insert yourself in those places. And when you start hearing, I remember being in a chat years ago with Andrea and Kristen Abar and Tamara Holloway and Melissa Eichenhorst. We were all kind of coming up through the ranks at the same time. And I started realizing, I thought my business was like doing big things, and it was, but I remember one time they started sharing paychecks or something. And I think Kristen Abar said, oh, we hit a big milestone in our business this month. And I was thinking they had hit $50,000 a month. It was $100,000 a month that they had hit this milestone. And this was years ago. And I started going, I am dreaming too small. I am doing this too small, and look at what's available to me. But I have always looked for people that are further ahead, and usually am the one that's trying to catch up. And that's fine, because it makes me better, faster, stronger. And so that would be definitely, I would be looking at who I'm listening to and how can I get around people that are where I want to be.
Who else has a question? Just jump in.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Kelsey, yes.
Okay, hi. So I'm very enthusiastic. I'm an extrovert. I joke because I'm like, wow, I'm always too much for most people, but those aren't my people. So when I'm excited about somebody potentially starting the business, sometimes I get myself in these situations where I tend to not freak them out, but I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, we could do this and then that, and then you're going to be so good at that and this. And like, what would your tips be? Like, I have a new level 1. She's fast start senior silver. She's absolutely so excited about like making this, like she wants to run diamond with me, like go. And I'm only ruby, but I'm like, let's do this together. I know. I've said that before. Shoot, Randy always gets on me. I'm ruby.
You're Ruby.
I know, Sarah, I see you too. Okay, sorry. I caught myself. Sorry about that. But without like throwing too much on her, like how do you navigate that? Because I can be overly excited, but I don't want to scare her away either.
Well, I think there's an old adage in the sales world that whoever talks the most loses. And so I would remember that. And so looking for ways that you can ask questions where she's going to want to open up. And then when you can say, you know, just majorly affirm that, and that is so possible. Let's talk about that. And I think painting the big picture but focusing in on what's the next step. And so where's the next win? It's kind of like that Dave Ramsey snowball, like, you know, that you want to, where just the smallest wins that then you can celebrate the next thing. It's like when you have a new triplex customer or whatever. And I mean, maybe it's just that they drank more water that day, but you're like, oh, so proud of you. But it's looking for anywhere for those wins. So I think bringing back to the bigger picture, but looking for the next win and typing that out. Sometimes I know we love voice text, but I see a lot of response when I can kind of just type out the next goal and kind of 3 things we're going to focus on to get there, and say, how do you feel like, you know, how do you feel about this? Or how do you want to move forward with this? And kind of testing them out and seeing, is that too much? Okay. Do we want to, you know, back up? But just, you're wanting to push people, but yes, I totally, I mean, yeah, when you find someone that wants to run, I can see the oversharing. But I think staying focused on letting them talk the most and helping them see a big picture, but then going to the next, not small win, but the next win that feels like something they can do in the next 30 days.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Reba, what books are you reading right now? She's always got like a stack. So
I was like, well, I'm listening to Fervent. I mean, the book is so tattered that now I'm listening to it this time. And then I am doing a book called Clarity First. That's about clarity. And Michael Hyatt guy recommended it in his vision driven leader book. And so I liked that. And then Failing Forward, a John Maxwell book. And I just sat down I pulled out to also read. There's another one called Best Year Ever that is also Michael Hyatt. So it's where vision driven leader is kind of made like the free to focus is kind of like your daily productivity, and vision driven leader, it feels like maybe is like the 3 to 5 year. And then Best Year Ever would be like the 1 year. And I love the freedom so much that I definitely am constantly looking for resources on productivity and focus. So that one too.
But what I love is that you love the freedom, but you're willing to put the work in to achieve the freedom. Like there's so much in what you do that's like, I'm working here so that I can enjoy all of this, instead of it being like, I hear so often people are like, I want the freedom. It's like, yeah, that will require work. Well, I don't want work because work isn't freedom. It's like a little bit here will give you a lot. And it's just that constant like wisdom, honestly, of if I do, 2 or 3 hours here, then I have all of the rest of the day to do whatever I want. And then those 2 or 3 hours are working for me. They're actually paying me consistently.
I also think it's absolutely the idea of getting on the horse, whether it's working out or meal planning or any kind of new thing that you're doing, the overwhelm of getting started and what that's going to look like is so much heavier than actually doing it. And then it's just what you do. And I mean, it's like when we were at Camp Well, a few years ago, and we talked about our values. We did that value mining activity, which is so great if you haven't done that before. And it's great to even do with your husband, or, you know, or your team or whomever. And you start to recognize your values. And I feel like when I'm working, I look at my core values that are freedom and fun and family and wisdom and vision. It's like I'm working not because of what I'm working toward or a goal, but it's literally because of who I am. If I'm saying this is who I am and this is what's important to me, this sounds so cheesy, but I'm serious. What does my day say is important to me? Like, what does that look like? And, you know, part of my story absolutely was that a couple of years in, I became a single mom, and then I got remarried, and now I have 4 little kids. And this is not my, you know, a little side hustle. This is my career. I am looking at this like a long-term career. And so it would be like if I was in real estate or I was in insurance or wherever else, and you're doing continued education classes all the time. It's just no one's telling you to do that to keep up your certification. So we know as leaders, if I am not investing in myself, I have nothing to pour out to my people. And I mean, it's like in your home, if you're not doing things that affect your, you know, your mindset or your belief system and your faith, then you've got nothing to give your people. And that is a really, talk about overwhelm and burnout. That is a surefire place to get there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on. I want to make one short comment, and that is that Rebekah has served on our advisory board for Plexus for the past several years. And so one of the things you need to know is, you know, when she talks about belief, she's speaking as like an insider. She knows what's coming down in the next 6 months and the next year, and has already spoken into that. And I just want to say as an encouragement to you guys, if you're struggling with belief in Plexus as like a company and a career, it's because you need to get plugged in farther. So a big piece of her belief comes from that choice to choose to be connected and leading. Would you agree?
Yes. And if I can just say a couple things about that and about our company and where it's going. First of all, I went to corporate in May or March or something in there. And I sat in a room for an entire day with basically anyone that has a chief or VP in their name. And as they were going, and I've done that probably for the last 5 years, I've been in meetings like that. And when I left, and I had heard their stories, their backgrounds, basically their resume, I left there going, if our company does not move like massively forward now, I don't know what it would take. The people, the caliber of the leaders, and the things that our company has done to protect the field when there were all the supply issues and all the things going on. And Charles said in a meeting to us one time, listen, if we like the bottles can't get over here from, you know, wherever, like the packaging materials, we can pay the field for 2 years without selling product what they were making at the time. That's the kind of like good stewardship and the protection that our company has for our field, like the kind of just integrity and love for our industry and for our people. Like it is nothing else. And last week, it was Charles' last day. It was his last day at Plexus as the CEO. He still obviously owns most of the company and is on our, will be chair of our strategic council. And he gave $1,000 per year to every employee that had been there. So if you'd been there 10 years, cash or tax-free, you got $10,000. They love this company. And when I do look at the product roadmap for the next couple of years, at different things to our tech and our user experience that's coming in the next year, I literally feel like I have more belief in offering this opportunity to new people coming in than I have ever had before. And I'm not your hype girl. Like I'm not gonna tell you things that I don't feel like are true. I am so proud to be a part of network marketing and dang sure to be a part of Plexus, because I mean, we are in such good hands. And I mean, the people that have come into our C-suite are like chief of sales, chief marketing officer, the international stuff that's going on. It's so good, y'all. Like your belief, it should be so strong where you are going up to people and saying, it's like when my 5-year-old would come in and say, does her mom do Plexus? I'd say, no, she had to do Plexus. He'd go, why not? And I'm like that now. Like, I don't know. I don't know why not. I don't know why not. So anyway, just some little tidbits that mean something to me that yes, I will hand off to y'all too.
Okay, we love you, friend. Thank you so much. If we have any more questions, I'll message you and ask, but
you know where to find me.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right.
Bye,
Rebekah.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, do not log off. One of the very first things I want to do with our time left is I want you to log into your virtual offices right now. And I want you to tell me in the comments how often per day you check your virtual office. And I want you to be honest. How often do you check your virtual office per day? Sarah Stewart says 2 to 3. She's pushing for diamond, so that makes sense. Andrea says 5 to 10, and she's lying because it's probably 20 plus, like my husband checks it. Okay, most of y'all are saying at least once. A couple of y'all, Sarah Byers says too much. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I think a lot of y'all don't check. I'm not hating. I just know. So one of the things I want you to do is I want you to sign in right now. I want you to go into the notes section of your phone or wherever you would record this. And I want you to record your overall and your outside leg points and make a note that it is October 3rd, because if you do anything this month, I want you to start tracking your points. Okay. People who don't check their virtual office do not have a business, guys. And so if I can keep directing you back to your virtual office, if you are disconnected, it's because you haven't been involved in something with Plexus for a while and you don't check your virtual office, because that's what people with hobbies do. Just giving you we got a short amount of time left and I want to get you checked in on your business. I also want you to look at your top leaders. Now, if you are a silver, hang on, because your points aren't going to change much every day at all until you hit the 28th. Okay. But this is for everyone who is gold and above. First of all, I hope you have your own subscription set up at least by the 15th of the month. Okay. That is so crucial for you and for your team members. Because by the way, until your subscription runs, you are not getting shown all of your points in the virtual office. You can't see past certain levels until your personal subscription run. Did you know that? So you're not getting a clear indicator of what's happening in your business. Personally, my subscription goes out on the 2nd. That is when it gives me one day to do a last minute, what do I want to change? Because sometimes I'm not really aware of it. But 2, it's at a courtesy to Andrea, because when I, as a diamond, when my subscription's not running, she's getting all these fake points. Has any leader ever had that happen where suddenly on the 28th of the month, bam, your points drop because one of your leaders has an automatic CQ set for the 28th? So I tell people, hey, at least by the 15th. Most of us are at least paid by Plexus by the 15th. So that's a courtesy. And also, it's important for us to know, what am I dealing with? How will I know what's going to happen with my points? Okay, third thing is I want you to make note of your top leaders, and I want you to start tracking their points as well. This is so important for you to know, especially, okay, I've got so-and-so, she went silver, she's going to shoot for senior silver, how's it looking? And for you as a leader to be thinking, how can I be strategizing with my top people, my posse, my runners, whatever you want to call them? If you're not keeping track of your own points, then you're not really able to cast vision for your team members. So those are a couple things that I want you to do every day with your virtual office. Now, if it's a new habit, it'll take a while for it to start clicking. But after a while, it's going to become rote, and you're going to be so glad that you made this decision to make this a new habit. Tracking your own points, tracking the points of your leaders, making sure your subscription is set to run at least by the 15th of the month. All right, Andrea, I'm going to pass it over to you.
I think one thing that's really important too is when you decide who those top leaders are, that you do exactly what Rebekah said. And she said, figure out what the next goal is. Like, it can be small. What is your October goal? Like, you may be saying, oh, she wants to go diamond. That's great. But what's your next goal? And then what are 3 activities that are actually going to get that goal met? Like, okay, you need to help a level 1 go silver. Who's your leader? You need to, be posting 5 days a week on social media. What's your plan? All of those kind of things. And I do think if you are trying to establish new accountability, more habits, what we talked about with Christy just a few minutes ago is, who's the group of people that are actually pushing you to better? Who is the group of people, like, do you know each other's points-ish? Like, are they holding rank? How did they do last month? Are they developing new silvers? I'm telling you, if I am in a group of diamonds, I want people that are developing golds on a monthly basis. That's what I want to surround myself with as diamonds, because I want to be like, okay, it makes me want to step up my game of developing a gold every month, but it also gives me like insight into like, what am I wasting my time on? And what do I actually need to be prioritizing my time with? Because a lot of times you think you're working plexus for an hour and you listen to Rebekah talk for 45 minutes. And I love you, but that is not doing anything for your business unless you put 3 things that she told you to do in actual action today. Unless you actually post on social media, you share your belief with someone, and you get enthusiastic, you connect with someone, you get on the phone. Unless you do something that's going to move the needle of your business forward, listening for 45 minutes to Rebekah, although heartwarming and wonderfully encouraging, those points you just looked at will not change tomorrow by 6 when you add a new customer today, if you don't put any of those things into action. And then I just want to continue to encourage you, the 90-day rule. What is your 90-day goal from right now? Right now, 90 days is roughly right after the first of the year, right? November, December, okay, I'm making sure. You really want, like, what's your actual goal going into 2023? By the time I go into 2023, I will be solid ruby. I will be holding it October, November, December, because everything I want to focus on in 2023 is going senior ruby and emerald. Like, what's your goal? And then what do you actually have to do over the next 3 months to get there? If you get sneakers or not this month, 2 pairs of sneakers, 37 pairs of sneakers, that doesn't matter if next month your points on the 3rd are the exact same as they are on the 3rd of this month. Does that make sense? Like, if you're not growing month over month, getting the watch last month is delightful, unless this month you're down points because everybody who you begged and pleaded and, gave them, extra bonuses for and mailed them a check to buy that reset so that you got a watch, do they actually have value in the products this month? Right now, today, are they taking their slim? Do they know when to drink their active and not to drink it after a certain amount of time? Have they been taking their ProBio 5 and their Bio Cleanse daily? Are they on a good regimen? Like, are you having these conversations? Because if everybody you signed up last month falls off this month, plus the bathtub has still got the drain open and you're losing more people that, signed up 2 years ago and finally realized they have a subscription they're turning off, you cannot fill it fast enough if you're not sustaining all the people that are in. Who are you loving on? So if you know what your points are, you really can go, okay, this is my meter. It's really hard on the 3rd. So my subscription runs on the 3rd for the exact same 2 reasons that Becky said. One is I do it on the 3rd, so I had the 1st or the 2nd to figure out, like, we found out we have free shipping over $175. So I wanted to make sure that my sub was set for over $175. There's always a couple of announcements that happen on the 1st, it seems like. So I set it for the 3rd to give myself a day or 2 to get those in. And then I set it early enough in the month that Rosalind Payne, my sponsor, if she shows up, if she's looking at the 5th and the 6th for her points, and all of a sudden I commission qualify on the 15th, could you imagine our entire team dropping her down by everybody by 1 point? It's just a lot of tracking. And if it's a business, you're tracking your business. Could you imagine if a CEO couldn't see parts of his bank account until he had a board meeting, or I promise you those would all be scheduled on the 1st, because he'd be like, I need to get all my meetings done on the 1st, because if that means I can't see parts of my bank account until then, that's not gonna work. And you are the CEO of your own LLC or whatever. You're essentially your own CEO of your, referral link account, your virtual office. You can't control what Plexus does. You can't control what flavors there are. You can't control what supply looks like or shipping or any of those things that are Plexus's, but you can control everything in your virtual office, which is points. It is referrals. It is what are VIPs doing. You have a lot of things you can be doing to actually move your points forward, and points are the name of the game. Perks are great, credits are great, incentives are great, but points are actually what our business rises and falls on. So where are your points right now? Where do you want them to be this month? Put in the chat before we get out of here, how much do you want to increase over last month? How many points do you want to increase over last month? And that increase may take you to a new rank. That increase may keep you consistent. I lost Ruby last month, so I know I've got to get back to Ruby this month to get that consistency bonus going forward. Because I will say at the end of the month, my biggest oh man, was I was going to lose that consistency bonus that I was getting every single month for holding Ruby, as I thought I was getting the senior Ruby. Okay, I'm seeing 100, 250, 100, 150, 50. Y'all, 100 points. How many people is that? That's a lot of people. That's a lot. 20. Sarah Byers, make sure I know my math. Okay. At the end of the day, y'all, that's people you have to start recruiting now. You cannot wait until the 25th when you're like, okay, finally, the kids have finally gotten to this and I've gotten this over with. Busy is literally everybody's schedule right now. I could not pull up any of your calendars and not say, oh, she's busy. You couldn't pull up Becky's, mine, and I promise Rebekah, who has 4 children, 3 teen tweens, and a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old that are busy. What were you gonna say, Beck?
Okay, and Andrea is making the point of what's on your calendar, and I want you to do that. I want you to know that if you have a full calendar, that tells me that you count this as a career. Okay, but secondly, it just as soon as I said that, it faded out. Oh, I wanted to say in the chat, I want you to think of at least one person that you believe could go silver on your team. I want you to really just sit for a minute and visualize who is someone, because I've got them. I'm like, this person could go silver. She could go silver. I'm already thinking of her. Write their name in the chat. Okay. Because I think a lot of times we need accountability for bringing that vision to the person that needs to hear it. Rebekah said earlier that she was, and listen, I want to be clear. This isn't just anyone. This isn't just the random person that ordered reset and you're like, well, I guess she could go silver. This is someone that you go, actually, I know she could go silver, or he could go silver. I fully believe, I know their connections. I know our mutual friends, blah, blah, blah. But Rebekah was saying, girl, we're going to Hawaii. And I had this moment of I almost was like, oh, I wish I was Rebekah's girl, that she saw that she believed in, because we all are desiring to have someone speak that belief into us. And I think that often what happens for us, because I'm going to own this, is that I sign someone and I'm just so grateful that they ordered. And I'm so worried about my own issues, and that I get too afraid to say, you of all people could kill this. And people have to hear that, because Rebekah said, they're not going to figure it out for themselves. They're not going to see the vision. You have to be the vision caster. And then you have to really hold their hand. You have to remind them all month long, don't forget, you said you wanted to hit this goal. You said you wanted to go silver. By the way, they're also going to get some shoes, but that's a total plus. That's not the goal. The goal is to help someone see they can build a viable business. And I'm telling you right now, if you have any issues with belief, you need to develop a silver. It's going to help build your belief so much. Now, I want to ask you one more question. Okay. This is the opposite of when you go to a Bible study and you're unspoken as your prayer request. I'm literally asking you to speak it. Tell me in the chat, how long has it been since you've developed a silver? Legitimately tell me. Did Jessica Koblenz just say 1 week? I love it. Okay, good. I'm seeing this. Over a year, 3 weeks ago, 2 years. Yes. Okay. For those of you guys who it's been a long time, I want to come through the screen and hug you. And then I also want to grab you and shake you in that hug and go, you can do this. You can do this. You are telling yourself that you can't, and you can. It's more simple than you've made it, but it's definitely like your struggles with belief are showing. Let me pick on someone who's willing to talk. Was it, I think, Jessica Koblenz, you said did you develop a silver recently? Will you unmute for a second?
Yes.
How was that for you to have a really recent silver? How does that feel?
Amazing, because in response to everybody else's, it had been probably over a year since I had developed one. So
how did you do it? How did you help someone go silver?
Well, this was someone who just started with reset, just wanted reset, and then had great results. And I just stayed in communication with her. And she was like, I think I could share this. And I was like, well, share it. Let's do a post. She's like, well, I've already got a post. I was like, okay, well, let's post it. And I think it was just building the belief in her that she could do that and put that out there. And then she got all this interest, but she wasn't sure what to do with it, wasn't sure if she wanted to share it. And then all of a sudden she realized, like, she was like, I have a big goal in mind. I am traveling all the time, but I make $80,000 a year, but I'm always gone. And she was like, I want to replace my income and do this and get my family back. And I was like, okay. So it was just, she basically did everything herself. I just had to keep building that belief in herself.
I love that you said that, because I think the number one thing that keeps some of y'all from developing a silver is you feel disconnected and you're like, oh, I'm not even sure what the incentive is. And I'm not sure what I'd say. And I've heard so many people be like, I really struggle with onboarding. And Jessica is saying she didn't worry about any of that. She just told this friend, you can do this. And that's all. Your silver, your person that's going to go silver does not need to know all the little details. You don't actually have to have a graphic that says here, like literally find 3 friends, get the cash, and we'll go from there. But Jessica helped her post, and then I'm sure you held her hand through all 3 people, and voila, here's your first silver in a while. And it feels great, right?
Right. And she actually went fast start senior silver also.
Okay. So this was huge for you.
This was huge. It was.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage, I know we're running out of time. I want to be respectful. I want to encourage all of y'all who are listening where it's been a while. I really want you to take what Jessica said to heart, because you just need to push yourself to follow up, to offer it, and to speak belief to people. Really. People are not interested in every ins and out of Plexus and all the rules and understanding the full comp plan. They want to know that you believe in them. Just start there. That other stuff will come. But if you start with, I believe in you, by the way, this is true, whether it's a new person who can go silver, this is also true for like your backslidden gold who's been MIA. He or she just needs to hear, I still believe in you. I really think you can do this. And then invite them to these calls. FYI, every Monday at noon is Masterclass Monday. Team calls are now 8:30 on Tuesday nights. Andrea has busted her tail to put all of that into the table. The full October calendar is there. Your people are welcome for everything. Put it in your calendar, set a reminder. You're going to see your business grow in October if you do that. Andrea, anything last minute?
No, what I thought you were going to say earlier about the calendars was, if you don't have something on your calendar about Plexus, if you don't have a call on your calendar every single week, and I would say 2 or 3 times a week, that you should have something that you are plugging people into and also jumping on, you are doing your business a disservice, and you probably will start to wane off, or you have, if you haven't had something on your calendar every single week that you are actively engaging in, like in the chat, but also putting giving yourself 30 minutes after whatever call it is to actually say, I'm going to sit down with this call. I'm going to sit down with 3 pages of Rebekah's notes after this, y'all. And I'm about to sit down with myself and figure out what my vision is. So you need to schedule the recap for your personal self after you've scheduled a call. Does that make sense? So if you're doing why Plexus, why now? give yourself 30 minutes and then say for 30 minutes, okay, I'm going to message some people because there's some belief that got built into me during that call. Like you need to have an action after you're getting on these calls, but you need to have calls on your calendars 2 or 3 times a week. That is it. We'll see y'all tomorrow night at 8:30 Central for the vision call. Bye y'all.